On today's show, from New York City, the fabulous Park Avenue Knockout, Tiffany Mellon.
Tiffany is sweet and Tiffany is bad. And if you don't believe me, just ask my dad. Mess with me and you will pay, 'cause I'm spoiled rotten. I get my way. Everybody, Tiffany Mellon here on the Mike Rand Show with all the latest Glow gossip. Item: Hollywood was recently charged for shoplifting a calendar at Target. Rumor has it she got 12 months. Ooh, item: Vicky Victory has never had a coffee at Starbucks. Every time she goes in there, she shouts, "Give me a tea!" Ooh, item: Evangelina has been accused of forcing her vegetarian lifestyle on her congregation. She always starts off each sermon with, "Let us pray." Ooh. You know, fans, there was a lot of competition for this job. Babe the Farmer's Daughter was a strong contender for her ability to get the scoop on the farm humor. Rumor has it that the potatoes had eyes and the corn had ears. Ta-ta now.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mike Rand Show, and today's special guest is from G.L.O.W, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Please welcome Tiffany Mellon. Hey Tiffany, how are you?
Hello everybody, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Mike.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And we are going to have a great time, everybody. We're going to talk all about G.L.O.W and have so much fun. And the first thing I want to know from you, Tiffany, is how did you get started in G.L.O.W?
Oh, goodness. I was at my casting agent's office looking over the available opportunities for the day. And there was a sign behind him on the wall that said G.L.O.W auditions. And I had just become a fan of the show as of just maybe the last month or two. Before that, I had started watching the show. And I said, "Oh, G.L.O.W auditions. Oh, I want to try out for that show." And my casting agent kind of turned around and looked at the poster and looked at me and he says, "You want to try out for that?" I said, yes, send me out. He couldn't believe it. So he sent me out and the rest is history. I got cast. I met with Matt Simber and Matt cast me. And I, like most of the girls, I wanted to be a heel. You know, nobody wants to be a good girl, but I got stuck with this character.
Now, when you watched G.L.O.W that little bit of time before it actually, before you auditioned, who are some of your favorite characters that you noticed from those first couple years?
The Heavy Metal Sisters and the Housewives all the way. I love the Housewives. And of course, it was the same girls, But yeah, the Heavy Metal Sisters and the Housewives, the craziest, looniest, most out there characters.
Yeah, they were so much fun. They had so much great matches. You just had to laugh with those two. They were a riot.
They were an absolute riot.
Now, were you athletic before G.L.O.W? Did you do any sports or anything?
Growing up, I was absolutely not athletic. I was a bookworm, but I had recently gotten into weightlifting and working out just a few years before I started with G.L.O.W. I got with G.L.O.W only 3 years out of high school. And I had started weightlifting and doing, aerobics and that type of thing, but nothing major. I was not a wrestling fan. I had never watched wrestling except for G.L.O.W, which, is debatable whether you can really call it wrestling. But no, I really was not an athletic person whatsoever.
Now, you mentioned you were a bookworm, so I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite book?
Oh, my all-time favorite book to this day is James and the Giant Peach. I could read it over and over and over.
And now, who trained you in Glow? How was your training like?
We were trained by Benny the Jet. I'm sure you've heard that from the other girls, and also by Ninochka. She trained us.
And where did you live when you were in Glow? Did you live in, because I know that the first season girls lived in the Riviera Hotel, but you guys didn't get to live in the Riviera Hotel, correct?
We didn't get to live at the Riviera Hotel, unfortunately. Glow put us up at these dumpy apartments that were located just a few blocks from where we shot the actual show and where we did our rehearsing and our training. And there was actually a murder the first week that we lived there. One of the residents in one of the apartments was stabbed to death. And we were able to look into the kitchen window where the murder happened and see the apartment all torn apart. And there was blood all over the kitchen cabinets, blood on the kitchen floor. And, this happened just right across from the apartments where we were all living in the same complex. And I thought, oh boy, home sweet home. What a nice place to live. That's where they put us up.
Oh boy, that's crazy. And how was your character created? How was Tiffany Mellon created?
The characters of Tiffany Mellon and Roxy Astor, the Park Avenue Knockouts, were created as kind of a replacement for Tina and Ashley, the Beverly Hills Beauties. So they were the West Coast counterpart to our East Coast, I guess you would call tag team. We were the East Coast fashionistas. They were the West Coast, glitzy glamazons.
And how did you try to make your character different from the original, the first season character of Ashley? How did you try to make yours a little bit different?
I didn't intentionally try to make my character any different than Ashley Cartier, even though my character was kind of her counterpart. I just let my character develop on her own. I didn't really know what a Park Avenue socialite was when I did Glow. The one thing that I did understand about Tiffany was that she was a spoiled, rotten, rich daddy's girl. The characteristic Tiffany laugh developed out of what I would assume to be Tiffany's attitude, which would be, ha ha ha, I'm rich and you're not. And that's where that cackle came from. It just kind of came out of me.
And you had, so many great opponents. You guys, the Park Avenue Knockouts, both in singles matches and then with your tag team partner, Roxy Astor. So I want to ask you about a few of these opponents that you had. And the first one I want to ask is your arch rival, the British bombshell, Godiva. Can you tell me what it was like working with Godiva and those matches? Because those were some of the great matches that you had.
I didn't really consider Godiva to be my arch rival. I considered her to be more Roxy's arch rival. But Godiva is very athletic and she's very strong, very flexible. And she's just an all-around, just a really nice person. She was very, very easy to work with. And I found that our matches just flowed. We were able to work together very easily. She was very open to suggestion, didn't have an ego, and she was just a pleasure to work with. I considered my arch rival to be Hollywood. That's Tiffany's arch rival would be Hollywood.
And your matches with Hollywood were great. Let's talk about some of them. And one in particular I want to talk about too was the battle for the butler. So you had a butler. His name is Jeeves. That would always escort you into the ring. So can you tell us a little bit about Jeeves first? And then let's talk about the battle for the butler in Hollywood.
Jeeves actually was played by our props guy. He was the Glow props guy. He made and developed all of our Glow props. And I don't remember how Jeeves developed. I didn't have Jeeves when we first started with season 3. I think I started referring to me having a butler, and then Matt Simber said, oh, that's a great idea. Tiffany should have a butler. And somehow we pulled in our props guy to be my butler. I really don't remember how it happened, but I actually have some backstage photographs from that match, Mike, that I'm about to post on my Facebook page. So you'll see them, snapshots that were taken before and after that actual match. That was a fun match because that was with Hollywood and MTV, who are both a pleasure to work with. They're both they're flyers, both of them. So it's really fun to work with two flyers like that, who can get airborne.
Yeah, that battle for the Butler, that was a fun match. And then
Yeah.
Hollywood and MTV, like you said, they were both great opponents of yours as well. And another one of, I would have to say another, bunch of great matches you had were against Beastie. When she tried to initiate you into being a road warrior, tell us about working with Beastie.
Oh, that match with Beastie was so funny. She kept trying to eat my arm. I actually just recently watched that match again. We actually did a pile driver in that match, and that was pretty scary. That's a move you don't want to take lightly because you can become paralyzed very easily. And I trusted Beastie to do that move with her. She's a strong girl, and I was very concerned about doing that move. And she assured me that she had it under control, and she did. We pulled it off. As I recall, Matt Simber did not want us to do that move because it was such a dangerous move, but we did it anyhow, and I'm glad we did. It looked great.
And then also another one of your opponents were the Russians, Ninotchka and Major Tanya. What was it like with those two?
Ninotchka was by far the best person to work with that I've ever worked with. She and I did a superplex from the second rope, and we were again told by Matt Simber to not do that move, to not do the superplex from the second rope, that it was too dangerous. We got permission to do it from the first rope. But when we were actually in the match, Ninotchka, if you watch it again, watch Tiffany versus Ninotchka, you'll see her put me in a headlock, and she whispers in my ear, she said, "Do you want to go for it?" I said, "Let's do it." So there's nothing they could do, right? TV cameras are going, and she took me up to the second rope, and we did the superplex from the second rope, and we pulled it off without a hitch. Trust me, we got in big trouble later that evening, but we did pull it off. We pulled off a superplex from the second rope, and I don't know if it's ever been done again in G.L.O.W.
And then also Major Tanya as well, you wrestled.
Major Tanya is a fierce opponent. She's very, very strong. Not much of a flyer. She's more brute strength, and she means business.
And another person that you wrestled, unfortunately, she passed away in the past couple of years, but Big Bad Mama. What was it like fighting with Big Bad Mama?
Big Bad Mama was so much fun to wrestle with. Oh my goodness. I used to spend so much time with her off camera. Lynn Braxton. I'll never forget her. There was a match where she put, I think, a voodoo curse on Roxy and I, and she had us wrestle each other. If I recall, it's been a while since I watched the matches, but I think she had us wrestle each other. Isn't that what happened?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Roxy became my opponent. She put the voodoo curse on us.
And then you also faced the Deadly Widow Woman in Black, where you guys were pulling out each other's hair in that match. So how did you know where the hair was to pull?
That match with the Widow in Black and we were pulling out each other's hair. Before the match, we took pieces of hair from wigs, and we hairsprayed it into our own hair. And then, so that way when we pulled, wads would come out. So she might have got a little bit of my real hair in there. I'm not sure. Maybe that's where that bald spot came from.
And then you also wrestled another woman who unfortunately passed away in the past couple years as well. The glow girl of the cosmos, Star.
Yes, Star. Star was one of my personal friends on camera and off. Well, on camera, no, but off camera, she was one of my personal friends. Very strong woman, very strong.
And then one more person that you wrestled as well, the awesome 6'2" Daisy. How was it like going up against Daisy?
Oh, I had so much fun trying to wrestle Daisy because she's so tall. There's so many, you're so limited as to what you can do with somebody of that height, you know? But I had so much fun the match where we bought her a dress, you know, and we tried to get her out of those rags and tried to get her to put on a pretty dress. And then we ended up all fighting over the dress, and so silly. It was so silly. Off camera, Helena is a lovely person,
Yes.
absolutely lovely person.
When you guys were doing the battle royals, you know, there's a particular order because obviously somebody's got to win the match. Is there anything that you remember anybody accidentally get eliminated earlier or anything go wrong in those battle royals?
Oh, there was always things going wrong in the battle royals. Mostly it was costume errors. Costumes coming apart, slipping off, slipping out. Yes, all the time. Or you'd end up, you know, accidentally fighting somebody from your own team because you're not paying attention to who's next to you, and you end up scrapping it out with, you know, a fellow good girl.
Yes, I do remember. If you actually look back at a couple of those battle royals, I do remember Cheyenne, Sharon, Zelda fighting each other at one point. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, aren't they supposed to be on the same side? Shouldn't they be going after a bad girl? There's plenty of them in the ring right now. But funny things like that.
Well, it gets confusing in there.
Yeah.
There's so many people, you know, and you just want to keep the action going. And every once in a while you end up with, oh, hey, hi.
And you did get to dress up a little bit differently during that street fight. You got to have, you know, a different little outfit where you teamed up with the farmer's daughters. Did you get to choose that outfit, or was that outfit chosen for you?
No, we got to choose those outfits. Usually we would go to the secondhand store and find clothes we didn't mind being ripped up and torn and stuff like that. We'd all go to the Goodwill.
Now, during G.L.O.W, did you write your own raps?
I did. I wrote not only my own raps, but I wrote raps for a lot of the other girls as well.
And did you have a favorite move to do in the ring? Was there any particular move that you liked the best?
Well, I had my own signature move called the Park Avenue Pulverizer. I don't know if you remember that, but that's where I used my ample chest to knock people down.
And did you have a favorite match out of all the matches that you did?
You know, some of my favorite matches were when I played Sarah from Sarah and Mabel. You know, I was one of those, Sarah and Mabel. I was the one in green. I would have to say my favorite match of all time was Tiffany versus Ninochka. Ninochka was just such a great person to work with, just such a tremendous opponent, so strong, so agile, and I could trust her. Doing that superplex from the second rope with her was something I'll never forget doing. And I think it was the only time in G.L.O.W history it was ever done. So I would have to say Tiffany versus Ninochka.
Now, was there any opponent that you never got to wrestle that you would have liked to have wrestled in the ring?
Wow, let me see. Is there anybody that I never got to wrestle? Don't think so. I think I pretty much got to wrestle everybody that I wanted to. At least from G.L.O.W.
And besides yourself, which character, who did you think had the best character, or a character that you really loved that you're like, wow, that person, that's a good character?
My favorite character of all time, or characters from the show, again, have to be the housewives. If I could have chosen to be any character I wanted to be, believe it or not, I would have been one of the housewives. I think they were the most fun characters that G.L.O.W has ever seen, and so much more could have been done with them.
Yep, they definitely were iconic. And another thing that was iconic was something that you guys saw in the beginning of this episode, Tiffany's G.L.O.W gossip. So can you tell us about how it was like filming that?
Oh goodness, what was it like filming Tiffany's G.L.O.W gossip? I felt silly, but obviously it worked out because I opened every single show in seasons 3 and 4. So I must have done something right. Sometimes I look back at those and I cringe. You know, I think I could have done so much better. But again, you know, it opens every single episode. So I must have done something right.
And once in a while, too, you got to appear in other sketches. And one of the ones you did was with Mount Fiji, Mount Miranda. And I wanted to know, what were your memories of Mountain Fiji?
Oh, Mount Fiji, she was the most kind and loving and adorable person. We all loved her, and she will be forever missed.
And do you have any memories of life in the G.L.O.W house?
I enjoyed doing the Life in the G.L.O.W house sketches more than any other thing I enjoyed doing when I was with G.L.O.W. It was really a lot of fun doing the one with Mount Fiji and Vicky Victory, the one about Tiffany's fashions. I did several of them, as a matter of fact. I also enjoyed doing the little sketch with Dr. Feel and Grope, where Dr. rolling my eyes like that at him. That was a lot of fun doing that.
And you also did a promo for Fabergé Organics.
Oh,
so I have to ask you, have you ever used Fabergé Organics?
I did use Fabergé Organics back then because they gave it to us for free.
And did it work wonders for you? I know my mom did use Fabergé. My mom went and bought Fabergé Organics.
Because she saw it on G.L.O.W,
Because she saw it on G.L.O.W, yes. So she bought it and she loved it.
It smelled great.
Now, another thing that you got to do, if I'm not mistaken, did you get to go, I believe it's called, is it the Napa convention, where you try to sell the program?
Nappy.
Or Nappy. Yes, that's right. Nappy convention for syndication.
I did, and I have pictures of myself there with G.L.O.W, and I have pictures with various other television cast members. Like, I have a picture of myself at Nappy with the cast of Married with Children. We had so much fun doing those conventions. I was like the G.L.O.W photographer. I took pictures everywhere. I have pictures on the G.L.O.W bus, pictures backstage, pictures on tour. I have albums full of pictures.
And then I believe it was a local affiliate that maybe you did an interview with at a TV station. It was you, Babe the Farmer's Daughter, Hollywood, and Godiva. And I know there was also a photo shoot involved too, because I see that picture every now and then. Do you have any memories of that? And can you tell us a little bit about that one if you remember it?
I actually have those pictures on my Facebook page. Yes. I don't remember the interview itself, but I do remember taking the still photographs. The G.L.O.W blondes is what I call it. That was before Tulsa came along. Yeah,
that was a great picture. And then also another show that you got to do, if you could tell us about, was the Phil Donahue show. You got to be on Donahue.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Donahue. My most fond memory of that whole trip was Jackie Stallone. When we first got to New York, we got to the hotel. We were staying at the Swiss Hotel, and it bills itself as a ritzy hotel in New York. And so we got there and we met Jackie in the lobby, and she says, "Hey girls, what do you think of the world famous Swiss hotel?" And then she leans in, she goes, "It's a dump, isn't it?" She's such a character. Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing the show and meeting Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
I was grateful to be chosen to do it.
Oh, Jackie Stallone was so hilarious. I remember watching her on those Family Feud episodes. She was so funny with those answers that she gave. And then also, what I wanted to ask you too is, after G.L.O.W, did you go tour in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, with Tulsa and Beastie? And maybe it could have been somebody else as well?
Actually, I went to Japan with Matilda, or Queenie. I went there with her. I think Beastie did go. I don't remember if it was Tulsa or not, but there were a few of us that went and toured Japan. Yes, and we wrestled the Japanese girls. And let me tell you something. That's some real wrestling right there. They take that stuff very seriously. We did opening night for the Tokyo Arena in front of 25,000 people.
And then another thing you did after G.L.O.W was there, I guess this, now you can tell us if this was actually going to be turned into a show or if this was just a home video release or something, but it was called Stallone's Knockouts, where it was a combination of wrestling and boxing. And you were a character, you were Bambi, the beach girl from Florida. And you wrestled MTV, who she played, her character was Valerie. She was like a executive type. Was that going to be a pilot for a new show?
As I recall, I think it was. I think they were trying to make a new show. We just did the one, as I recall, and boy, that's really dredging up some memories right there, Mike. I mean, I didn't remember it until you just now mentioned it. But yes, it was going to be a new show.
Yeah, a few others were in there as well. Hollywood, Godiva were in there, and a couple other Glow girls as well. And then, many years passed with Glow, and then eventually they came out with a documentary many years later. And I wanted to know if you got to see the documentary and what are your thoughts on it?
No, I haven't seen the documentary, and I chose not to participate in it, so I really don't know much about it.
Okay, and did you happen to see Glow Netflix at all, or no?
No, I don't have any interest in watching it. It's kind of a bittersweet memory for me, and I don't want to watch it.
Okay. And then also, after Glow, you then, I don't know what year it was, maybe 2007, 2008-ish, you became a bounty hunter and had your own TV show on WeTV. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I actually became a bounty hunter for reals in 2004, and then word kind of traveled throughout the Hollywood community, and I started getting calls to do magazine interviews and television interviews, and eventually that led to me getting my own reality TV show called Wife, Mom, Bounty Hunter, which was on the WE channel in 2007. So yes, I was a real life bounty hunter, and I retired just a few years ago.
And what have you been up to since? What is Tiffany Mellon up to nowadays?
Nowadays, I'm just a stay-at-home wife and grandma. I'm not doing a darn thing. For a couple of years, I drove a school bus for our local school district, but right now I'm not doing anything. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
Okay, well, it was so much fun talking to you today, Tiffany, but we're not over just yet because right now we are going to play the lightning round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple things and you just tell me which one you prefer. So would you prefer a night on the town or to stay in and watch TV?
Stay in and watch TV.
Would you rather climb a mountain or swim to the bottom of the ocean?
Climb a mountain.
Would you rather whisper or shout?
Shout.
Would you rather eat dinner for breakfast or eat breakfast for dinner?
Dinner for breakfast.
Would you rather be extremely wealthy but only be able to walk everywhere? Or would you rather be broke and be able to fly anywhere you could in the world?
Wealthy and walk.
Would you rather drive on the highway or take the back roads?
Back roads.
Do you prefer to talk on the phone or text?
Text.
Macaroni salad or potato salad?
Macaroni salad.
What's worse, having no air conditioner or having no heat?
Oh, having no air conditioner all the way.
Tony Danza or Tony Bennett?
Tony Bennett.
Would you rather go on a hot air balloon ride or go on a boat ride?
Hot air balloon ride.
And who is your favorite Charlie's Angel? Kate Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, Jacqueline Smith, or Cheryl Ladd?
Jacqueline Smith.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And can you tell everybody how they'd be able to get in contact with you if they have any questions?
Yes, they can email me. So listen closely, okay? The email you can use is Sandy, S-A-N-D-Y, babe, B-A-B-E, 66 at Hotmail. So Sandy, babe, 66 at Hotmail.
Okay, and thank you again for joining us here today. I had so much fun. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.